Minglaba and welcome to MI Radio's Myanmar Today. I'm Agajo. Today we have reports on story on arrival of medical team from Yunnan Province in Yangon. And another report is on Chinese companies donating masks, PPE, and other medical equipment in Myanmar. And a report on the government providing foodstuffs and the first 150 units of meter bill for free for citizens without regular income. All of that in this edition of Myanmar Today, but for now, let's take a look at what's happening in local news. State Councilor Daw San Suu Kyi, who chairs the National Central Committee for COVID-19 Prevention, Control and Treatment, held a video conference from Presidential Palace in Naypyidaw with persons concerned who are combating COVID-19 in Magui region yesterday. The participants presented awareness programs, especially in the villages with returnees from foreign countries, healthcare services from 91 returnees at the 5 community-based facility quarantine sites in the area, auxiliary station hospital, and spraying of disinfectants. They also discussed about donations of cash assistance and medical equipment provided by the private business firms at the Magui People's Hospital and Minbu People's Hospital for health workers. They also talked about the return of 150 migrant workers from Outland Township and Simbangwe Township, who were stranded at the Chinese factories. These workers were welcomed at the Chinshui border crossing station. They received medical tests and were accommodated at the facility quarantine center in Bolugong Village School. An arrangement is underway to produce the COVID-19 protective masks in Laindaya and Shuibida industrial zones at a price affordable for all people. The masks will be manufactured in Laindaya and Shuibida with an additional aim to create job opportunities for the workers from the garment factories who lost their jobs because of the short supply of raw materials. The dual purpose of the manufacturing of the masks will be made known to the public through the media. Previously, the masks were manufactured from Shuibida industrial zone. The raw materials are now scarce because of the outbreak of COVID-19, and so the masks and PPE suits are entering via borders at extremely high prices. To be able to manufacture the masks domestically, the insecticide cotton rolls have been imported. With the arrival of the cotton rolls, the masks will be produced in Myanmar with the necessary equipment and supplies ordered from China. Myanmar Investment Commission (MIC) has received the official notification of the closure from 3 factories, even though there are over 120 factories shut down, DICA Director General Wu Dan-Sen said on 7 April. MIC has formed the monitoring group and the working group to address the possible economic impacts caused by COVID-19. The monitoring group is led by the Directorate of Investment and Company Administration, DICA. They found layoffs and temporary and permanent closure in the factories. He stated, quote, "What's an unusual case is downsizing in the factories and temporary and permanent shutdown, although only 3 factories have notified MIC of their closures. The remaining carried out depending on the situations of the relevant factories and industrial zones. As of 1st April, 124 factories are reported to close down the operations. Of them, 36 are permanently closed, while 5 carry out temporary suspension, 3 downsize the workers, as per the report of the Yangon region government." The Ministry of Education in Naypyidaw is not under lockdown, said Director General Wu Zote of the Ministry of State Councilor's office yesterday. The comment was referring to a rumor spreading on social media that the Ministry of Education is under lockdown when a staff was found positive of COVID-19. Wu Zote said a 65-year-old male staff working at the ministry fell ill at his home in Zabudiri Township at 10:05 p.m. on 7 April and was sent to 1,000-bed hospital in Naypyidaw and receiving treatment. He said the patient had pneumonia and his swab test has been sent to the National Health Laboratory. The NHL confirmed the patient is negative to the COVID-19 disease. Wu Zote said the Ministry of Education is currently working with the least number of staff, conducting meetings with the video conferences and having staff working online. That's all with the local news. Now we'll move on to our first report. A medical expert team from Yunnan Province arrived at Yangon International Airport at noon on 8 April. The medical team, including 12 medical experts, also went together with anti-epidemic donations worth of 4.34 million yuan. The team will stay in Yangon for 2 weeks to give assistance in treatment and examination. Laura Susan has more.
To help Myanmar fight against the COVID-19, a team of medical experts from Yunnan Province of the People's Republic of China left for Yangon on 8 April. The team arrived at Yangon International Airport at noon on 8 April, and Union Minister for Health and Sports Dr. Myanmar Today, Chinese Ambassador to Myanmar Mr. Chen Hai, officials from the ministries and the embassy staff welcomed the medical team. The team of 12 medical experts was organized by the National Health Commission, and it was led by Yunnan Province. They are to stay in Yangon for 15 days to share their experience and give assistance in treatment and examination.
They will have discussions with medical research team and national laboratory. They will render assistance in laboratory process. We have noticed that China has successfully controlled and contained the epidemic. China can control this huge epidemic in a short period, so we need to learn a lot of experience from China. Sharing experience practically between the two countries is very important for us. The arrival of medical team from Yunnan Province is so much effective for our health industry.
The medical team also came together with anti-epidemic donations worth 4.34 million yuan, including testing equipment and reagents, 8,500 medical and 95 masks, 60,000 disposable medical masks, 5,500 PPEs, other medical protective materials, and a batch of Chinese and Western medicines.
医生医疗组呢专家组呢是由云南的
The medical team sent from Yunnan Province is comprised of the famous medical experts from Yunnan. Moreover, they carried the medical and protective items such as face mask, PPE, and testing equipment and reagents, which are in need here. China has found effective ways in control and containment of the disease, so the team will share their experience with the Myanmar health workers and provide assistance in treatment.
We are to share our experience with Myanmar health workers for the anti-epidemic processes. Because we arrive here for the first time, we don't know much about the in-depth situations of Myanmar. So after discussing with officials from the Ministry of Health and Sports, we will be able to decide what to do. Myanmar and Yunnan share the long border area, and we can fight this pandemic together.
Since the outbreak of COVID-19 in China, Myanmar has provided helping hands to China in any way it can. And now China is to share back their experience and to help Myanmar again. China has also donated protective items and test kits as well. And this is the first time of the arrival of the medical expert team from China.
体现的是深厚的包括着情谊，同时
This is the sign of friendship between China and Myanmar. So this can reveal that the two countries are sharing the society of ride or die. We have supported each other when we are in difficult situations. I hope the collaboration between the Chinese medical experts and Myanmar medical experts will be helpful for control and containment of the disease in Myanmar.
Until 8 April, there are total 22 confirmed cases and 3 diseased cases.
Right now, we have 22 positive cases, which can be said as a small amount compared to the whole country. However, a lot of citizens have returned from Thailand. So in the next 14 days, which is an important period, if nothing terrible happens, we will have a relief. And the cooperation of the citizens is the key factor when fighting against this disease.
For the anti-epidemic procedures, Myanmar is receiving the aid from international organizations and China financially and providing with equipment. That's all for now. This is Dora Suizin from MI Radio.
That's a report on arrival of medical team from Yunnan Province in Yangon. The Chinese companies in Myanmar are taking up several donations across Myanmar, especially in the major cities such as Yangon, Naypyidaw, and Mandalay, by donating masks, PPEs, and other medical equipment for those who are in need. On 7 April, the donation events were also held at 2 different locations in Yangon with the collaboration of Chinese Embassy in Yangon. We listen while Tess the full story.
The Chinese companies in Myanmar are taking several programs on donating medical equipment such as surgical masks, PPE, and other stuff to different organizations across Myanmar. It is not just the organizations which receive donation, but Yangon region government also receives as well, along with several governmental departments. On 7 April, the Chinese Embassy of Yangon donated 50,000 masks at Directorate of Investment and Company Administration led by Mr. Dang Shifu, Economic and Commercial Counselor at Chinese Embassy, and the donation was received by Wu Tan-Sin-Lun, Director General of DICA. Speaking to MI Radio, Mr. Dang Shifu said,
Okay, the Chinese companies here, they are supporting Myanmar to fight the COVID-19. Before 2 months before, China and Myanmar is fighting together, supporting China's fight in the COVID-19. And now there is some confirmed cases in Myanmar now, and the Chinese company just coming to support Myanmar to fight the COVID. And also Myanmar support China in 2 months ago, supporting by supply some materials and rice, showing our good relationship between the 2 countries.
Not just in Yangon. According to Mr. Dang Shifu, the Chinese companies are also extending their helping hands, donating masks and other medical equipment in major cities such as Naypyidaw and Mandalay. And there is more to come from the Chinese companies for donations as well. Speaking on the upcoming donation programs that the Chinese company will carry out, Mr. Dang Shifu also said,
Yeah, there are more and more Chinese companies delivering goods to Yangon and Naypyidaw and Mandalay. Before today, already about 10 companies and institutions already delivered the goods to the departments and hospitals, and also Chinese government already delivered some goods to Myanmar. And today and the day after tomorrow, there will be some more Chinese companies and institutions preparing the goods to deliver, and we are waiting the response from Myanmar side for the time, the suitable time, and the place to receive the goods.
On another event on the same day, another Chinese company, Hytera Communication Corporation Limited, Myanmar donated 10,000 pieces of medical masks to the Ministry of Home Affairs received by Myo Min-tai, Chief Officer of Yangon Region Police Force, and issued the donation certification to Mr. Gao Jiangrong, the country manager of Hytera Communication Corporation Limited. The handover ceremony was attended by Mr. Dang Shifu, Economic and Commercial Counselor, and Mr. Liu Yongzheng, Police Counselor of Chinese Embassy, Yangon. MI Radio has also exclusive interview with Mr. Gao Jiangrong, the country manager of Hytera Communication, and speaking to MI Radio about the donation of masks to the Ministry of Home Affairs, he said,
So first of all, we all know that now all the global is under the we call it the coronavirus pandemic. Yes, and then as you know that previously actually China have been facing such a challenge already, but now the situation is already under control. So Hytera as a telecommunication provider, actually we have been serving the Chinese Public Safety Department for very long time already. Yeah, so we are also joining the battle, that during this pandemic in mainland China. Yeah, and then at the overseas market, we see that our solution can also help the other, the customers. So that's why today we go there and then we donate our mask, which is as kind of our willing to support the local public safety customer, to fighting coronavirus, and then hope that they can go past this situation as soon as possible.
According to Mr. Gao Jingrong, there will also be another donation programs to be carried out by Haitera depends on the need of the public. This is Williamson for MI Radio.
That's the report on Chinese companies donating masks, PPEs, and other medical equipment in Myanmar. Alright, let's have a look at the currency rates now from Myanmar Central Bank and the Stock Exchange. $1 is at 1,442 kyats. 1 Chinese renminbi is at 204 kyats. 1 euro is at 1,568 kyats. 1 pound sterling is at 1,777 kyats. 1 Singapore dollar is at 1,010 kyats. 1 Malaysian ringgit is at 331 kyats. 1 Thai baht is at 43 kyats. And the Indian rupee is at 18 kyats. Gold is trading at $1,646. Silver is at $15. Brent crude oil is at $31. On the Yangon Stock Exchange, FMI is at 11,000. MTSH is at 3,700. MCB is at 8,100. FPB is at 21,500. TMH is at 2,800. Stay with us as we bring you more reports on Myanmar Today. The National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19 announced that the government will provide the foodstuffs for the citizens who live without regular income during Thinjan holidays and allow free electricity bills up to 150 units till the end of April. It is announced that the data recording the day laborers is to be evaluated without corruption. Tora Suisin has details.
The National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19, at which State Councillor Aung San Suu Kyi is serving as chairperson, released an announcement on Tuesday stating that the government will provide the foodstuffs for the citizens who live without regular income during the holidays, and it will allow free electricity bills up to 150 units. When fighting against COVID-19, the State Councillor is engaging with citizens more, and she received letters from all walks of life from all across the country to see how the best the Union government could fulfill the needs. Since the outbreak of COVID-19 in the world, the daily wage laborers are the most affected by this pandemic. The closure of the factories and the workplaces raised the worries for them who don't have regular income. Although it is highly advised to stay at home and not to do mass gatherings to reduce the spread of the virus, there are still many workers going outside to earn in all around Myanmar. When the long holidays of Thinjan are getting near, their worries increased. The government has released an announcement for the public to stay at home during the holidays and to solve the living of the households in need. The government is striving to help in any way it can. In the press released by the committee, it is mentioned that people from the basic society without regular income will be provided with 8 days of rice, 50 ticals of cooking oil, 50 ticals of salt, 1 piece of lentils, and 1 piece of onions for each household starting from 10 April. It is also to make sure that there is no wastage, delay, or corruption for recording, packaging, transportation, and distributing, with the leadership of the state or regional governments in collaboration with governmental departments, the Union of Myanmar Federation of Chambers of Commerce and Industry UMFCCI, local elders, civil society organizations, and volunteers.
We will link with the ward administrators, NGOs, and individual volunteers to deliver the supported stuffs to the citizens who are in real need. They will have no bias when distributing the foodstuffs. We are also making announcements of basic health guidelines for prevention using loudspeakers. Especially, we try to reach to the grassroots as much as possible. Besides government's plan, we have been donating foodstuffs to the residents in our township. We will try in unity to distribute the foodstuffs supported by the government into the hands of those who are really in need.
I am thankful for the support when we are facing with this pandemic. We are living so difficult. People are mostly not going outside. We have to depend on our daily income and we are struggling too much for living. This assistance seems so meaningful for us.
As now, the commodity price for consumer goods has been steady, and they are also selling with cheaper price by some organizations as well as the voluntary groups and individual donors are contributing to the people in need.
When we made donations in some far places, the grassroots were found not worrying. They were afraid of price increase and food shortage because they witnessed the panic buying by the rich. But as they witnessed the help of the donors and the volunteers as well as now the assistance of the government, they can relieve worries.
Besides giving foodstuffs, the government has also announced that households' electricity bills will be given exemption of up to 150 units till the end of April. Moreover, the state councillor on her Facebook profile posted that the Ministry of Health and Sports is also to contribute face masks to the citizens. And she remarked the period of these holidays as the important period to control the spread of the virus and urged the citizens to stay at home. That's all for now. This is Dora Suisin from MI Radio.
That's the news coverage on government providing foodstuffs and the first 150 units on meter bill for free for citizens without regular income. And that's all we have for today's reports, and it's time to check on some international news here on Myanmar Today. On the 7th local time, Trump said at the White House press conference that the United States plans to suspend the provision of funds to WHO funds. Trump said the WHO took our funds but stood on the side of China. When I first issued a travel ban, they criticized and opposed me. Finally, they retorted that they did not intend to do so, but just considered.
The WHO, that's the World Health Organization, receives vast amounts of money from the United States, and we pay for a majority, a biggest portion of their money. And they actually criticized and disagreed with my travel ban at the time I did it. And they were wrong. They've been wrong about a lot of things. And they had a lot of information early, and they didn't want to, they seemed to be very China-centric. And we have to look into that, so we're going to look into it. We give a majority of the money that they get, and it's much more than the $58 million is a small portion of what they've gotten over the years. Sometimes they get much more than that. Sometimes it's for programs that they're doing, and it's much bigger numbers, and if the programs are good, that's great as far as we're concerned, but we want to look into it. World Health Organization, because they really are, they called it wrong. They called it wrong. They missed the call. They could have called it months earlier. They would have known, and they should have known, and they probably did know, so we'll be looking into that very carefully, and we're going to put a hold on money spent to the WHO. We're going to put a very powerful hold on it, and we're going to see. It's a great thing if it works, but when they call every shot wrong, that's no good. With regard to us, they're taking a lot of heat because they didn't want the borders closed. They called it wrong. They really called, I would say, every aspect of it wrong.
So
until
the funding freeze.
I'm not happy about it. Look, we fund it. Take a look. I mean, go through step by step. They said there's no big deal, there's no big problem, there's no nothing. And then ultimately, when I closed it down, they actually said that I made a mistake in closing it down, and it turned out to be right. But at the time, they did that. So we're just going to take a look at it. We fund it, and they seem to be, I said recently in social media, I said they seem to be very China-centric. That's a nice way of saying it, but they seem to be very China-centric. And they seem to err always on the side of China. And we fund it. So I want to look into it. Yes, please.
Thanks. A quick follow-up on that. So is it time to freeze funding to the WHO during a pandemic?
No, maybe not. I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but we're going to look at it.
You did say that.
We give a tremendous, no, I didn't. I said we're going to look at it. We're going to investigate it. We're going to look at it.
California is granting early release to 3,500 inmates in an effort to curb the spread of coronavirus infections in the state prison system. The decision follows an emergency order filed by lawyers requesting an intervention by judges to prevent illness and death.
People is a drop in the bucket. There's 122,000 people in state custody here in California. At least 10,000 of them are over the age of 65. Many of them are medically vulnerable. These people need to be released now. They didn't receive a death sentence.
California has a long history of overcrowding in its prisons, and although it's come a long way in reducing the number of its inmates, the total, according to the latest estimates, still remains just below the target capacity ordered by the Supreme Court. That's why rights groups argue the early release of 3,500 inmates is just not enough.
They immediately cut off visits from the outside world, so we can't go in and visit our loved ones. They cut off programming, so teachers and that were going in could not. The only ones allowed to go in have been the staff, the officers.
A lot of these cells are 5x6. Even if they are given appropriate instructions about how to mitigate harm from COVID-19, they aren't able to truly follow it. And the reality is, when I've spoken to people inside, the information that they've received from guards and from prison staff has been very, very, very spotty.
The Twin Towers Correctional Facility here in Los Angeles is the largest single jail facility in the world. And like most of the state's jail structures, this one is also facing severe overcrowding. Lawyers say it is virtually impossible for the inmates to practice any kind of social distancing, and therefore they say it would be impossible to prevent the spread of the virus.
As nations shut borders, a surge of people pouring unmonitored over international boundaries in a volatile and vulnerable part of the world has sparked warnings about the unchecked spread of the virus there. In March, more than 150,000 Afghans spontaneously returned from Iran, one of the countries worst hit by the coronavirus. Thousands more arrive daily. Tens of thousands have also recently returned from Pakistan, the worst affected country in South Asia. Officials are struggling to control this unprecedented movement across what have always been porous and often lawless borders. So far, Afghanistan is not among countries severely hit by the virus, reporting 423 cases and 14 deaths, but this influx has raised fears of much higher transmission rates. Staff working for Her Majesty Passport Office believe their lives are being put at risk because of demands that they return to work. Many have been asked to go back next week despite the ongoing coronavirus crisis. On Tuesday, staff were told by a Home Office scientific advisor 80% of people would get COVID-19 in the end, and we can't hide away from it forever. The Home Office said it was maintaining social distancing at the passport offices. When and how to get staff back into the workplace are questions employers will increasingly have to grapple with across the UK. And that's all we have for today. Thanks for joining me on Myanmar Today. I'm Akajo. Have a great day, everyone. Stay home, stay safe, and practice good personal hygiene, and follow instructions strictly, and always be on high alert for important news. I'll see you again. Goodbye.